Hello, everyone. Welcome to Whack with Patrick and Mia, the podcast. We have
Hello.
a really, hi. We have a really exciting show. Um, this is a topic that I feel like Mia and I love to just like talk about
It
this all the
is
time.
one of my favorite things in the world. I mean, honestly, it's kind of sad that it's one of my favorite things in
It
the world.
really, yeah, same.
But I think we all have the
So
same.
interesting.
We all have the same interest in this topic because it's so common and it's just like it's crazy to me, like just how many child stars go crazy because that's what we're gonna be talking about today.
Yeah,
But
child star's gone wrong.
yeah, I literally have 2 bottles of water sitting on my desk with me because I know we're gonna be talking so much. But before we get into that, Patrick, how's life been? How are you?
It's going pretty good, I guess. Had a test today. Not really much going on. Oh, I did go on a hike last weekend. That
Oh,
was fun.
wow.
Might be going on another one this weekend. Really turning into a nature buff. Which, if you know me, for like anyone who's listening to this from high school, they're probably like, "Is this actually Patrick? Like he went on a hike?
I was
What?"
thinking that I wasn't gonna say anything because I didn't want to be mean, but like, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not really a nature person. But in the summer, I went on a hike with my cousins and my aunt and my mom, and I actually really enjoyed it. And a lot of my friends here are very like nature people, and so they're like, "Hey, we're gonna take you on a hike," and I was like, "Okay, that's cool." Turns out I actually really do enjoy them, not as much as like the beach or anything, which here is an unpopular opinion, but I do still enjoy them. So
Yeah, that's
that's really the
good.
only exciting thing going on.
Yeah, yeah, nothing really much has happened to me lately, except I did officially declare that I am switching my major to BFA stage management. So I'm officially a BFA stage manager. I'm really
Congratulations.
excited about. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited because they keep the program here really small so that like the lady who runs it, her name's Tina. She's awesome. I love her. She like literally will take like all the BFA stage managers to like a gig that she's doing, and then
Ooh,
she'll bring
that's
them with
fun.
her and she'll like have them shadow her. And like there was like a girl who's one of the upperclassmen in it, and she actually like took her to Detroit so that she could like shadow her on this gig and like had her like stay in like a nice hotel and stuff. And I was like, wow, is that gonna be me in a few years? So I'm really pumped about it.
Hopefully, that's so
Yeah,
exciting.
hopefully. Yeah. So that's pretty much all that's new here. We had some good weather kind of. It was 42 degrees instead of like 20. So
Yeah, it's been
uh,
pretty nice here. Like I only had to wear a jacket once today.
yes.
Okay, so do we just I say we just roll on into it
Yeah,
because we
I
got
say
a lot of
let's
content. I'm
yeah.
really ready. I'm really excited. So
Yeah, I
let's go.
have a bunch of articles opened up on my computer right now. I can't wait to go through them with everyone. So, let's jump into some music. What are we going to be talking about today? I mean, I know.
Okay. Yeah. So our segment Let's Groove, where we look at new music. Today we this is an artist that I've been listening to a lot recently. I found her in September because I had to find new music for my radio show. And I actually end up really liking her, and like I actually listen to her music. A lot of times new music that I pick for my radio show I just kind of find and I typically forget about it, but hers actually stuck with me. So the artist is Mahalia. She is I guess like R&B artist. She's from the
Yeah.
UK, and we listened to her EP called Seasons. Mia, what did you think about it?
I really, really liked it. Like, I was actually really surprised when you sent it to me, and I listened to it. And I was like, "Wow, is this really what he's listening to right now?"
I
Because
know.
I feel like it's really not out of character for you, but it's not really the typical music that I would receive from you. I feel like, but I
Exactly.
really loved it. Like, I love that kind of music. It kind of reminded me of Estelle.
Yes,
And I
yes, I can see
love
that.
Estelle. I love her so much. And I really enjoyed it. Like, I listen to that kind of music like not frequently, but like there are a couple R&B ish,
Yeah.
not no, I wouldn't call it like hip hop, but like it's like
Yeah.
really,
I know what
it's
you
like
mean.
that, you know what I mean. But yeah, I
I
really
think it's
liked it. I'm
like
gonna keep listening.
newer R&B. Like it's a
Yeah,
little
for
more
sure.
hip hop, but it's not like quite like 90s R&B or anything.
Yeah, it's like a
Um
good fusion of the two. I really liked
yeah.
it. I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
listening to her now. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked her. I was like thinking about it. I was like, maybe I was thinking about doing Ariana's new album. But I was like, I feel like everyone's gonna be talking about that. I'm like, maybe in the future, we'll see.
Yeah, I
Um,
haven't listened to it yet. It's on my
oh,
list of
it's
things to
good.
do.
It's
Yeah, I've heard it's like
I
amazing.
actually think you'll like it. I know
Yeah.
you're not as big on her music, but
Yeah,
I think you'll like this one.
I love Ariana. I don't listen to her music that much, I will admit, but I love her, so I have big expectations for it. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you like this one. So I thought you would like this one. So I so I'm first gonna talk about like my favorite song. Surprise Me.
Mhm.
Uh that song was so like I listen to that song probably every day. It's just so good. And it like for me, so Surprise Me is about basically you're in this long distance relationship and you kind of have lost this touch. And so she talks about, them being far away. And when he comes and visits her, it's like he's still far away. There's nothing there. And so I didn't have you watch the music video, but I'm not gonna play it obviously. But she has this monologue in the beginning of the music video that I really want to play for you. Is that
Ooh.
okay?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
It's funny how the closer you are, the more I notice the distance between us. And when you're here is when I feel most alone. I've begun to seek solace in this silence. What you lack in emotion is dwarfed only by your unwillingness to share. Words fall on deaf ears and tears fall from falling skies. Scared to admit that we're both staring at the same thing that doesn't exist. Caged by a fear of loneliness. Gripped by addiction to the drama and the lies. You told me that you loved me, but you never did. Surprise.
Okay.
Ooh.
Right? Like
Nice.
the end where she's just like, you told me you love me, but you never did. Surprise. It's
Jeez.
so good. Like when I watched that video, it literally made me emotional, and I'm like, why? Like, I'm like, I've never been in a long distance relationship. I don't know. To me, like, it was. I feel like you can kind of relate it even to like friendships, obviously. Especially, I mean,
Oh yeah,
this is your first
totally.
year
Yeah,
away from
absolutely.
school, and you have those friendships where it's just not the same anymore.
Yeah, no,
And
I was actually just thinking about this like the other day about like not like that I've like lost touch with any of my friends, but
mm,
it's just it's your friendship like grows in a different way whenever you're
yes,
not with each other constantly.
yes,
And not to say that's like like a bad thing, but it's like your relationships do grow and change, like especially when you're like far away from each other. And like from someone who is in a long distance relationship, like your relationship does change, but it's
mhm,
like it's obviously I don't really relate to like the whole like looking at like same thing but there's nothing there,
mhm,
but like it's like your relationships do change when you're not
yeah,
constantly with each other, and that's just like a universal kind of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like if you get a chance, definitely watch the music video. Like just the way that I don't know. I don't know if she would be a good actress or not, but like the way that she just kind of like looks, like her eyes, like the way she looks at the guy that she's with in the video, and just like how she looks away and all this stuff. I don't know. It's just so good. I love it so
Ah,
much.
yes.
I like have really like fallen in love with her music, especially lately. I've been listening to it more.
Yeah, it's
So
really good.
overall, I thought so. The album's called or EP is called Seasons, and I thought that was a really appropriate name because like every song is kind of about like these different stages of a relationship. Maybe not in order, but like um, that's how I kind of saw it at least. And so the first one is One Night Only, kind of about like playing games almost. And then Honeymoon is like, obviously that honeymoon phase where you just want to spend every second with them. Surprise Me, like we said, losing that connection over long distance. Good Reason, kind of losing that spark and then telling, Surprise Me is about the other person. You can tell like it's not the same, but in Good Reason, it's more Mahalia talking about how she is like, look, we've lost that spark. If you give me a good reason to stay, then I will. But right
Mhm.
now, like it's dry.
Yeah. No,
Um,
that's like when I was listening to it, it like you can tell that this is a big piece of who she is.
yes,
And like it's very clear that like in the music like she very much took a lot of it from her own personal experience, and that's like
yes,
my favorite kind of thing to listen to in a song.
yes,
Like a lot of songs like obviously like there's it's going to relate to the artist that wrote it, but like in like at least in like today's world, I feel like there's so many people who are like writing songs for artists, and so I think, in my personal opinion, the best music comes from like within, and
For
like
sure.
and like that's like a whole thing like in older artists when it's like at what point do you run out of things to write about, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's like why I really like this, because it was very fresh, and like you knew it was coming from a place where it really meant a lot to her. So that's like just a thing I picked up on when I was listening.
Yeah, no, she just talks about how, it's a lot of the experience comes from guys who have hurt her. And so in a way it is sad, but like obviously creates beautiful music.
Oh yeah.
And then that EP ends with a song called That's Okay, where it's kind of talking about, you wronged me, but I'm just going to move past it and I'm kind of over you. And then I sent me another song of hers, the one that I recently discovered from her. I was like, this song's really good. Can we add it? And she's like, yeah, it's fine.
Yes.
So her song, I Wish I Missed My Ex, which I think is like her top song on Spotify or whatever, like most listened to. This one, I thought it obviously is not part of the EP, but it's just a single. But I thought like went well with it still, because it's obviously talking about another like stage of a relationship where she's talking about her ex like keeps contacting her, and she's like, dude, like this is pathetic, it's tiring, like please stop. And it's just a really fun song. I've been like jamming to it a lot
Yeah,
lately.
it's good. I like that one a lot too.
Yeah, so overall, Seasons is a great EP that you guys should listen to. And Mahalia is a really great artist, up and coming kind of.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of
check
her
her out.
before, so I'm really
Yeah.
glad that you sent me her music, because it is really good. We'll leave the links to, I think, is it on Apple Music as well? I listened to it on Spotify.
I'm sure.
But
I'm
yeah,
sure.
I'm sure it's on there. But we'll leave the links to that in the description of this podcast. So
Yes.
great.
All right. When Pigs
So-
Fly?
Yes, absolutely. I'm really excited about this. Okay, so When Pigs Fly is our next segment. We're gonna be talking about a weird news story every week, like just like the most bizarre things. And this week, this article I read, and it's kind of a story that really picked up over the past week, I would say, because I found it like right after we recorded our last show. But I was like, I have
Where
to
we
talk
talked about
this.
farting trolls.
Yeah,
You can
we
find
talked
that
about
on our
farting
YouTube.
trolls. Yeah, it's a good story. You should go listen to it. But this one you might have heard of, but the headline is Indian man to sue parents for giving birth to him. Did you hear about this story at all?
I did not.
Oh
like,
my gosh, I'm so happy you
same.
didn't, because
Rude.
now you're gonna. It's just listen. So there's this 27 year old Indian man. His name is Raphael Samuel. And this is written by the BBC. And he says that he's insisting that it was not our decision to be born. So he's suing his parents for not getting his consent to be created, basically. Which is very brash on his part, because both of his parents are lawyers.
What?
Yeah, so
No.
he's into this belief because it's a part of this like philosophy called anti-natalism. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's a philosophy that argues that life is so full of misery that people should stop procreating immediately.
Oh.
And if you saw a picture of this guy, he walks around with a weird fake beard on, and like his eyes are like always covered. Like there's like this weird picture where his like eyes are like just covered up, not by like glasses, by like just like a mask, basically.
That's
So
weird.
that's just to paint a picture of what this guy looks like. And he basically
I'm
says,
gonna look up the picture.
yeah, look up the picture. But he says, quote, "There's no point to humanity. So many people are suffering. If humanity is extinct, Earth and animals would be happier. They'll certainly be better off. Also, no human will then suffer. Human existence is totally pointless." So
Wow.
I guess but the thing is that he said he's not like depressed or anything. He said, I'm like, he's like, I'm pretty happy in my life, but like I didn't like consent to like being born. And like, I mean, I guess I get where he's coming from, but like also like how would you like that doesn't even make sense. Like how would you consent to be born?
Yeah.
So
like
it's likely that this case is obviously going to get like thrown out, but like he's saying the point is that I need to get this belief out there that we need to stop bringing children into this horrible world.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a quote
I
from
just
his
looked up a picture of him.
Yeah,
Interesting weird mask thing. Like,
Yeah,
what even is that? Looks
I
like eye patches.
I don't know. I feel like he's like just part of me just thinks he's trying to be like an edgy guy. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like trying to get
Like,
attention.
yeah, he's just like, why did we have to like come into this world? Like,
Like,
no
do you
one
expect
asked
this from
me.
like a 14-year-old?
This literally could be a Tumblr post from like
Literally,
2012.
yes.
But there's a quote from his mom. And she says, quote, I must admire my son's temerity to want to take his parents to court knowing both of us are lawyers. And if Raphael can come up with a rational explanation as to how we could have sought his consent to be born, I will accept my fault. So, I mean, they're not like mad at him, clearly. They're kind of both just like,
Yeah.
all right, let's take it to court. Like, let's see how you fare. So like he says like he started having these thoughts when he was like 5. And I'm like, what 5-year-old is thinking about like why did it have
There's
to
something.
be
There's something going on there. Like, that's
Yeah.
not normal.
Yeah, and so he has all these like graphics basically. It looks like he's like trying to put out like a campaign and like there's so many like there's so much suffering and like why must I work? Like why must I face wars? And then it's like at the bottom it's like someone had you for their pleasure in quote. And it's just
Wow.
like what is the thought process? Like what does he think he's gonna like are they gonna compensate him for like being born? Like if he were to like win this case, like
Yeah, like, are they gonna like kill him? Like,
yeah, like yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. I was like, does he just want to die? Like what is this? But then he says at the end, he's like, yeah, I'm like happy, but like
what?
the heck? Yeah,
Okay.
no, he explains it. It's like he explains it as being like you're in a nice room, but you don't want to be in that room. Basically, is like life.
Okay.
And I'm like, I mean, all right, but yeah, I mean, like it's not like you can like make a call and be like, hey, like, is it okay if like we give birth to you? Like, it just doesn't work like that. So.
You know how like babies can hear in the womb, just
Yeah,
like you're speaking, and like, hey
put up your-
buddy, you wanna
Yeah.
you wanna come out or no? Let us know. Like, kick 3 times for no, kick twice for yes. Like, what?
Yeah, so yeah, that's definitely not gonna hold any kind of case. At least in in America, I don't think that would definitely would just not hold. Like they would
No.
throw that out like quicker than like anything else. So yeah, that's my weird story for the week. And I wanna see
That
where
is
I might
definitely
follow it and we might do an update in the near future
yes,
to see
yes.
what happens. So Raphael, I wish you luck, I guess. I mean you're
Sorry
really
you were
gambling.
born, I guess.
You were born. You're really gambling with what you can get away with here. But like, best of luck to you, I guess. Especially with 2 lawyer parents.
Yeah, seriously.
So yeah, that's my story for the week. Any additional thoughts on that?
I feel like they could like make a movie out of that, like instead of like Legally Blonde, it's like
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Legally Born. I
You
don't
could
know.
totally make like a comedy about.
Yes,
It'd
for
be
sure.
I would watch it. I would
Yeah,
definitely.
100%. Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh my. Yep. There we go. That's our next project.
Yes.
Awesome. So you ready to jump into
Oh,
the
I'm so ready.
cesspool of child stars gone bad?
Yes. Yes.
I'm so excited. Okay, you should go first because I feel like you're a lot more passionate about it than me, which is saying a lot. So
I mean, like, even as a kid, like, I just love, I mean, I am a media major, but like, I obviously watch Disney Channel and Nickelodeon like all the time, and I loved like I love learning about people's lives, period. Like, I love doing interviews. I love looking up like every little detail about people, which kind of sounds creepy, but like I just do. And as a kid, like, I loved hearing about um these people that I knew that I like grew up with. The first one that I'm going to start with, though, just because I like was thinking about it, I was like, this would be an interesting example because you think about when you think like crazy child stars, you think like Disney.
yeah.
But really, I'm like, I think the problem goes back to a long time ago. You know, child stars have been messed up for a long time. Because obviously, like, your childhood is taken away from you in a sense.
Yeah.
And so my mind went to Judy Garland.
See,
And
I didn't even know about this when you first told me about it, so I'm excited.
really?
Yeah, I literally had no idea.
I used to be obsessed with the Wizard of Oz, and then I like looked her up. I used to like read Wikipedia all the time, just about random things that I liked. And Judy Garland was one of them. I remember seeing she was like hardcore into drugs, and she actually died of an overdose at the age of 47. It was just like a few weeks after her birthday.
Yeah.
And so she like I was looking up an article about because I didn't know too much about it. And basically, so first of all, like she was hold on. Okay, so her father was a performer, and she had some sisters, and her father like he was involved in some like very scandalous things, and at one point they had to like move away because he was caught like doing some scandalous stuff.
Oh gosh.
And so then like, but she also said like her father kind of held down the fort, I guess, and so then he died, and like that's kind of where everything went wrong. And and then she like started performing, and so whenever she started doing Wizard of Oz, she had to take these things that they called pep pills to suppress her appetite and keep up her energy.
God.
And she like basically started she was being criticized about her weight on like the set of Wizard of Oz and all this stuff. And so like just between that and all the work and everything, like she started taking more and more pills.
Yeah, so it was like the industry that got her hooked, basically. Then
exactly.
Wait, actually, now that you mention that, I feel like I've read something about how the dress that she wears in Wizard of Oz, the reason they put that dress on her was to make her look like younger and skinnier. I don't know where I read that.
I mean,
but now that you say that,
I mean, at the time she was like kind of old, and she was supposed. I mean, I think in the movie, like, I don't think they say her age, but in the book she's literally like 12. But in the movie, I think she's supposed to be like 16 because obviously she's gonna have been 12.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Actually, no, I think she was 16 when she shot it, but still. So I mean, obviously she was doing drugs like as a teenager, which is awful. And she was like already addicted. And it was literally just so like she could lose weight. And it after the Wizard of Oz, it was like a big hit. You know, you would think like, okay, maybe she would like stop because she wasn't, but it had been so ingrained in her brain, like she was now dependent on it.
Yeah.
And then she like had a nervous breakdown in 1947.
Oh gosh.
And like she divorced her husband. She like attempted suicide twice. Also like really sad stuff. Like we are starting out dark.
Yeah.
And then let's see. Oh, and so basically this article at the end, she goes, you know, whenever she experienced a setback in her career, she always staged a comeback. Whenever she gained weight, she focused on trying to lose weight. Whenever she canceled an event, she'd play a long engagement of concerts to make up for it. She had been a star since the age of 16, didn't know anything else. But the stress of Hollywood had destroyed her physically and led to nervous breakdowns. But it still was what brought her happiness. So it's just like really sad story. This is all from biography.com, by the way. And it's just like a really sad story. And it's like, I mean, obviously the industry was a lot more messed up back then. I think you can kind of tell it's getting better because a lot of like Disney stars now, more of the newer ones, they don't like go as crazy. So I'm hoping like Disney kind of learned their lesson, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, we're actually later. I'm gonna talk about Bella Thorne and how she. Yeah, there will be a whole thing about it, but yeah, it's crazy though, like because like nowadays when you think of like child stars going crazy, like you think it's a very new thing because we have so much like access to all this information about like whatever they're doing, and like the paparazzi is like always doing this and that and seeing them here. And like back then, like when like I mean, Wizard of Oz came out in like 1938 or something. Like it's an old movie. Like it came out in the 30s, I'm pretty sure. So like you don't even think back then. Oh yeah. So yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even know that she went through any of that. Like that's crazy to think about like Dorothy being like that person out of character.
I know that's so weird. Like you watch that movie and she's so happy, and I love that movie. One of my
I know, me
too. It literally makes me cry. But like you like watch it and then you think like this girl is like probably high right now or something. Like
yeah, seriously, like that honestly paints a whole different picture for what for how I'm gonna watch that movie now. So thanks. Wow. But no, that is really sad. And do you want to move on to our next person? Because I
Yes.
think I don't. I found this out. Me and my mom used to talk about this all the time. But Drew Barrymore, she
Oh
She
yeah.
really was going through it in like her. I mean, it started in her childhood, but like,
Yeah,
so
wasn't she like an alcoholic at the age of 8 or
yeah,
something?
like yeah, just wait. So Drew Barrymore was also born into a famous family, and her godfather is actually Steven Spielberg, and I think that's how she actually like landed in the role of Gertie in E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which we talked about last week too. One of my favorite movies of all
Oh
time.
yeah, that's
And
right.
when I learned all of this about Drew Barrymore, it literally like rocked my world because like I never would have like thought that like she would have gone down this path. And she started drinking in 1984 at 9 years old.
Oh
Like
wow.
she was born in 1975, and I'm on a timeline of basically her whole life right now. And it like just the more you go down, it gets worse. So it's like she begins drinking alcohol in 1984 because she's like this big person now. She's been in E.T. She was in Firestarter, Stephen King's Firestarter, and she actually was the youngest person to ever host Saturday Night Live, and she was 7 when she
Wow.
hosted Saturday Night Live, which
Lucky.
I had no idea about. So that's really cool, actually.
That is really cool.
But yeah, she fell in, and it was this one bar. It doesn't say on here, but I know I read about it somewhere. I couldn't find it. But this one bar where all the movie stars and all the famous people would go, and she would be sitting at the bar like drinking at like
What?
literally like 9 years old. And so she begins drinking alcohol
Why'd
when
no one
she's 9.
stop her?
Exactly. It was. I mean, I guess it was the 80s, and people just like didn't even think about it back then.
Whatever.
I guess
That's
so.
so messed up.
Yeah, it's so messed up. And then she began smoking marijuana the next year in
What?
1985 at 10 years old.
Uh,
And it gets worse, Patrick. Oh my gosh. 2 years later, this would put her at 12. She begins snorting cocaine. Yeah. Like
like
a 12-year-old. Like that's literally younger than my brother. It's insane. But luckily she bounces back. Don't worry. She goes into rehab in 1988.
how old
And
is she then?
she is
16?
13. 13.
13. What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the next year. She enters rehab, and I guess she cleans up her act at least a little bit. But her and her mom have like a falling out, blah blah blah. And then she publishes an autobiography in 1990 called Little Girl Lost, which I actually really want to read now.
Yeah, I want
Like
to
she
read
would have
that.
written that when she was like what, like 15? Yeah, she literally would have been 15. So I mean, good on her for that. And then she's in like a bunch of other movies. She plays Poison Ivy. And then she's in a few other movies, I think, and she gets married in 1994, which would put her at like 19-ish, I think. Right? Yeah, I think if I'm doing my math right. But then in 1995, she poses nude in Playboy,
Mm.
and this is where it like all starts back up again, where it's like really
Mhm.
like when you think of like the crazy child star, you're thinking of like the crazy things they're doing and not like the drugs they're doing and stuff. So
Mhm.
I guess she's come from that. And then Steven Spielberg, who like I said before is her godfather, sends her a quilt for her birthday that says "Cover yourself up," and inside the quilt is the Playboy issue where she posed nude, and it's like he had all of his like art department like alter all the pictures so that she was fully clothed. So like, that's a power move, honestly.
Wow.
Like that must have been
Wow.
awkward for him to like be like, oh god, like this is a little girl I've known her whole life, like geez. But yeah, so she posed nude in Playboy, and then this is like the iconic moment, not like iconic, but iconic moment that I think of when I think of Drew Barrymore and her crazy years, is that on the late night show with David Letterman. I've seen this clip. You should look it up. It's wild. She climbs up onto his desk
Yes, I've seen this.
and she flashes her boobs to him as a birthday present.
Yes,
And like
I've
that, like if that happened on TV today, do you know what like the backlash for that would be? I feel like back then it was like, oh, like she's just crazy. It's the 90s. But like nowadays, could you imagine like
yeah.
JoJo Siwa doing that or something?
Okay. She wasn't that young at that point.
Oh well, yeah, I
Uh,
guess not. Well, she's like
but still.
20 at this point, but
I mean,
still,
yeah, it's still like scandalous. Like
yeah.
I actually remember like I think that's when I found out because I don't know, it was like playing on TV or something, like not when it aired, but I think some special was talking about Drew Barrymore or something, and it showed that clip.
Mhm.
Obviously didn't show anything.
Yeah.
But like it was, and I was like, what in the world? My parents were like, oh yeah, like she was on a ton of drugs, like she was drinking
Mhm.
at the age of 9, and I was like, they have to. I was like, they have to like be getting that number wrong. Like, there's no way. I was like, a 9-year-old, like that's something you hear about, like some kid who grew up in like I don't know, like a crack house or something,
Yeah.
like the middle of like the ghetto or something like that. Not, you wouldn't think like a celebrity child, especially
Mhm.
like you would think they would have a little more like uh guiding or like some sort of guardian around her if she's like going
Yeah,
to a
yeah,
bar. Like,
that's the thing that baffles me the most is that like who took this little girl to a bar? Like how
yes,
did she even
yes,
get in?
or
Like
like,
that
like I would not, I don't think it's okay, but like I can see, celebrities allowing the child in the bar, but you would think like someone would keep a close watch on her and like
yeah.
make sure she's not trying anything.
Yeah,
Like,
cuz like
that's
I
so
feel like
messed up.
because the way she fell into it, I'm pretty sure is that she would just get invited to like these parties because like she was just a another famous celebrity at that point when she was a kid, like very well known like around Hollywood, and especially because her parents were also very wealthy and famous.
Hmm.
Is that I mean, I guess people just turned a blind eye to it,
I guess
but
so. That's
but
so
the
bad.
story gets better, so it's okay. So her father dies in 2004, and she flies herself and her mother, who I had said before she had a falling out with, and they kind of reunite the family. And she had actually been like secretly like paying for her dad's like bone marrow like cancer treatment, because that's how he died. He had cancer. And she had been paying for his like medical bills basically for the past 2 years. So I feel like that kind of rekindled her family a little bit. And then after that, she really like cleaned up her act. Like she in Whip It, when she directed, it was like her directional debut, and it was starring herself and like Ellen Page. Great movie, love it. And then after that, she gets married again, and she's really just kind of cleaned up her act. She has 2 kids now. She wrote
Oh,
another book. I believe, I forget what it's called, but I actually watched a video of her that I think Vanity Fair did, and it was like her going through her career. And she just seems like she's really solid now, and I'm really happy for her. But yeah, she had a wild time when she was a child star, and I mean,
yeah.
it's not like this is a very different kind of child star, not like breakdown, but like it's like, so like when you think of like a child star like having like a mental breakdown, you think of like Britney Spears and like Miley Cyrus, but like this is just so much different and deeper than that. But I'm
Yeah,
really
like,
glad that she came from it. Like I love Drew Barrymore. I think she's a fantastic actress, and I'm proud of her. I'm proud of Drew. Good
yeah,
for
no, good for
her.
her. Um,
Yeah.
I just thought of one as the next one. The girl who played Stephanie from Full House. Why can't I think
Oh
of her
my
name?
gosh, I forget her name
What's
too.
her
I
name?
was
I literally follow her on Instagram. I'm like trying to look her up. Um, but she, like, I remember I watched like a Full House documentary or something a few years ago. And are you looking up her name?
Jodie Sweetin. That was it.
Jodie Sweetin. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
She's
Um,
back on the right track too. She's like great, and
oh
she's in
yeah,
Fuller House.
but like what happened was like whenever Full House ended after like 8 seasons, which you would think like that's a pretty solid amount of time, especially for a show like Full House. They, in the documentary, they talk about toward the end, it's like people weren't really watching anymore because like, and, obviously that was a very cheesy show. Like, I love Full House, but
I
it
love
is
Full
so
House.
cheesy. And like it was good for the time whenever it came out, but like toward the end, obviously people were getting into more like serious shows that were not as like yay, like family, wah,
Yeah.
whatever. And so I guess she was like so devastated whenever the show ended, like she didn't know what to do with herself, and so she got into like heavy into drugs, all this stuff. um
I mean,
and
honestly, that makes sense because, like, think about it. Like, you have this entire cast of people that
mhm.
have been on this show for like
Oh yeah,
eight
her
years together,
family.
and then when that ends, like, they're like, yeah, like at that point, like, you're like actual family with these people. Like, you've spent
Yes.
so much time with them, so
And
I
like she
understand how that would
starts when
be.
she's like a little girl. I mean, like Candace Cameron Bure or whatever her name is, obviously started when she was pretty young. I want to say like 10, but I think Stephanie was there like went since like age 6, whereas like the Olsen twins, they were there when they were like just a baby, but they
Literally, like
ended
infants.
like they ended, I think, like probably when they were 8, so they kind of, they were, it was kind of like, okay, we're over it. Whereas her, like during her, I mean, from like she was a little girl to her teenage years, that was her entire life. And so I think it just really messed her up. But
Yeah.
Fuller House is back and she's in it. I only watched like the first few episodes.
Same.
But
It's not the best, but like I feel like I don't know. It's just
honestly, not to get too much into it, but I feel like it's kind of similar to Full House. But like I said, the problem with Full House was that like no one wants that anymore. Like it's nice for the nostalgia now, but you can look back and be like, it was so cheesy. But like if you make a show like that now, no one's gonna want to watch it. And Fuller House is like that, but I think it's like on its last season, which it has like 5 seasons. So obviously someone else is watching it. Yeah. But she's happy now. I follow her on Instagram. She has like 2 daughters. She seems to be doing great. So I'm like, good for her.
Good for her. Good on you, Jodie Sweetin. You're a queen.
Yes.
But while we're on the topic of Full House, I almost researched the Olsen twins because I felt like they might have been a good candidate for this episode, but I feel like more so they're just weird. And like they're not like,
and they just like they're like they don't want to be actresses, like they just want to do fashion, which and
there was the one movie that I forget which one it was like they're just the Olsen twins in my mind. They're like the same person.
Yeah.
But the one was in Beastly, and she played like the weird witch girl, and I was like, that is perfect. Like that's actually a perfect role for her.
Yeah, like I look at them sometimes, I'm kind of like, they seem like the type to like set a curse on you or something.
Yeah. Totally. They like recharge their crystals. They recharge their crystals during the filming.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, on a lighter note, I feel like we're gonna jump into Britney Spears.
Is that a lighter note?
I feel like it's lighter than like
I feel like a lot of people make jokes about it, but like you look back and you're kind of like,
Yeah, so we're going to talk about this because Britney has also bounced back. She's still a little wacky, but like we still like I love her. But I talked about this in the first episode, I think, actually, when we were talking about like respecting like celebrities' privacies and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I mean, Britney Spears, she Hit Me Baby One More Time. Is that what the album is? Or Oops, She Did It. That was the album. That was the album title. But
that was her second album.
Oh,
her first album was One More Time.
Oh, one more. Yeah. Okay. So the first album dropped when she was 17, I believe. So I think she falls into the category of like child star. So.
I mean, she was on like Disney Channel with Christina and Justin when she was a kid, like younger than that.
Yeah.
Like but, people knew who she was, and then she came out with Baby One More Time, where she was like in the low cut crop top, and everyone was like, "Oh, wow! Like everyone's like, she's a little girl. She should not be dressing up like that."
Yeah. No, I'm gonna talk about that too later, about like how they dress kids nowadays, like for the red carpet. But so I feel like that was like one of the the biggest defining moment of her career when she first came out with that album, because I mean it took the world like by storm. Like it sold like millions upon millions of copies like within the first like day of it being released. And
good album.
Yeah, good album, really good album. But she got basically so famous where she was basically being harassed by the paparazzi, which I hate the paparazzi. Like I think obviously like pictures, blah, 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 whatever. But like when you're literally like following people around, like just to like basically get a story on them, like that's very wrong to me. And like that's the reason why she like went so crazy. And like they even painted her like whenever she had her first son, I forget his name. I think it's like Sean. Sean Preston. And there was like they were like all filming her like basically just walking to like her car or something, and she like trips, and like they paint it as like oh my god, like she almost dropped her baby. And I'm like, girl, like she tripped and the baby's hat fell off. Like the baby's fine. Like everything.
Oh, I think I remember seeing that.
There's like this big like, it was like, and it was like, oh my god, she almost dropped her baby. Like what's wrong with her? But like she did drive in the car with the baby on her lap once.
Okay, yeah. And I think she like wasn't she drunk or doing that?
Oh, was she? Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I remember I watched a documentary about Britney when I was in middle school about like her spiral. Like that at that point, like I was obsessed learning about what had happened to her.
Yeah, but and then the whole thing got blown out of the water when she shaves her head, and this happened in 2007, and I remember like walking into the car with like with my nanny at the time, my grandma, and we were talking about it, or like I mentioned it because I had like heard it that like she like shaved her head. I was like, Nanny, is her hair ever gonna grow back?
I remember in 3rd grade like talking, like making jokes about it with other kids, being like, "Ooh, gonna like shave my head like Britney Spears." I mean, like everyone was talking about it.
Everyone
like,
knew about it.
They
And then
put it
like
in like a parody movie too, or
yeah,
some sort where
and-
she's like shaving her head and they like kick her down a hole or something. I just
yes, and
remember seeing that trailer.
this was
So
so
sad.
iconic because there was an episode of iCarly where there was a celebrity, like a fake celebrity on the show.
Yes,
It's her
Ginger Scott or whatever.
yes, that
Ginger.
was her. And it was like basically the fake video in iCarly. It was her sitting in a dumpster area and there's
Yes,
trash everywhere and there's like a raccoon and like she's
yes.
washing her hair with ranch. And like that was
Oh
obviously
yes.
a direct connection to Britney
She
Spears.
throws a fork at Freddy,
Yeah.
stabs him in the
Yeah.
shoulder.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So like that's literally how iconic this moment was. And like then
Yeah.
you look into it and it's the reason she did it, and it says here that she said, "I don't want anyone touching me. I'm tired of everybody touching me," which is honestly really sad because, like, you think about it, you're this
Oh
huge
yeah.
celebrity. The paparazzi's always after you. You're always getting your hair done. Everyone's always dressing you for like a show or like whatever you're doing. And she was just like, "I'm sick of this. Like, I want this hair off. I don't want anyone touching me." And like, that's honestly like really sad.
Yeah.
And like I feel like that's the biggest point in her breakdown that everyone like makes a joke out of. And like
Yeah.
in reality, like it is a wacky thing to do, but like
Yeah.
you look into it more,
I mean,
it's
she like
it is
tried
sad.
to beat someone with an umbrella right
Yeah,
after
that's
that,
the
though,
next thing I
right?
was gonna talk about. She started beating like a car with an umbrella because it was a paparazzi's
Yeah.
car. And she was like, "Get away from me. Like, I don't want to be photographed right now." And there's like these crazy pictures where she literally looks insane. She has this green umbrella in her hand.
Yeah.
And she's just like glaring at the camera. And like
Yeah.
while that's funny because like come on, like that's like it's
Yeah.
funny like someone like beating a car with an umbrella.
Yes.
But like
Yes.
the story behind it,
It's
like
so
it is
sad.
sad. It's sad.
Well,
But
okay, so I remember like when I watched the documentary, like I mean, before all this, people were already in her life because she had like she like went off and got married in Vegas to one of her backup dancers, I think. I forget his name, like Kevin something.
Mhm.
And I think that's where her first kid was from. And like there was the whole scandal around her, and like I remember watching her doing an interview, and she was so happy, like with her little southern accent, and it
Aw.
was just so sweet to watch her. But like she was also like kind of like that was where it started all going wrong. Like she's like breaks down. I want to say she was either talking to Dr. Phil or Oprah. I don't know.
Oh
And
yeah.
she's like breaking down, and she's like outside her like nice little southern home. I think it's southern. I don't know. It was just like it's honestly so sad that it
Yeah.
did get to point. I mean, it is funny.
No,
So-
yeah, it's obvious.
but,
Like
like-
she knows it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like she has to. Like there's like you can't just like go out and beat a car with an umbrella and not have people like be like, "Whoa, like what?"
Yeah.
But then she finally enters rehab in that same year in 2007, and her family was like really happy about it. And the man, her husband Kevin that you were talking about, had custody of her kids while she was in rehab. And I guess after that she got out and then she was charged with like a hit and run accident. So that kind of was just like, ugh, she loses custody of her kids. She goes into like a psych hospital, but then she comes out of that and she gets visitation rights with her kids. So she's back on like the uprise, which is, good in my opinion. Like her kids are so cute. I'm looking at a picture of them right now. And she continues to make like this chart topping music that is like, which to me is crazy because like if you go through all of that in like a whole year, like I don't know where she would like have the motivation to do that. Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just trying to place myself in like her shoes. Like I feel like I wouldn't want to do like anything that would keep me in the spotlight, but I mean she kept making music and I mean that's good for her. And then she was a judge on the X Factor in 2012 and she earned, oh my gosh, she earned $15 million for this. And now she has Las Vegas residency, doesn't she? Or does she still have it?
I have no idea.
Didn't we just talk about how it got renewed? I think it just got renewed too. So that's what she's into now. And she's in a relationship and now she's just doing her own thing, which like is also like I said, like with Drew Barrymore, it's like the same thing. It's like she really came out of that like on top.
Yes, I agree, but honestly, like Mia, there has to be something like mental there because she like had to have been so messed up because like
Mhm.
I like to make jokes about this, but like honestly, I followed her on Instagram for some time. I actually unfollowed her because like she would just like post weird videos of her like spinning around in her house, and it was kind
Oh
of
my
weird
God,
and made
she
me
would.
uncomfortable. And she would like show off her outfits, but like there would be like either music playing or like no music playing. It was just like kind of unsettling. But like literally, like I'm sorry, but you look into her eyes and like there's nothing there,
There's
which is
nothing
like
there. Yeah, that's
like
so many of these celebrities is that you look into their eyes and there's literally nothing there. It's like their eyes are
and
open but
like
they're closed.
people talk about going to her concerts, which I honestly don't think she should do meet and greets. Because like I've heard so many bad experiences about like going to her concerts, and like they tell her like don't look at her in the eye, don't touch her,
Oh my God.
and like she's like mean to them. I this some of this I could be like all this could be just rumors or
Hmm. Or
dramatization,
a lot
but
of it
still
could be just trying to paint her in that bad light because it does make
maybe
a good story.
maybe like I can give her the benefit of the doubt, but like still like even in pictures like you can just tell like it's just very strange and weird, and like I don't blame her. Like there had to been some messed up stuff going on, and
Mhm.
like I'm sure like she is not okay like mentally. Like I'm sure she takes medicines and stuff um to like, because I mean to go through all that to the point where you like shave your head,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
yes, okay, she doesn't want to be touched anymore, but like you have to like go to a very very dark place to be doing that.
Yeah, seriously. No, I
So
totally agree. But
I don't know what's all, I don't know,
in
it's really sad.
yeah, no, it's sad, but I feel like in the grand scheme of things, I feel like she did come out on top of all of it. Because like think about how much money she's making doing a residency in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
like that's like a big
No,
thing.
like like I think she's doing fine.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't know if she's exactly Drew Barrymore level fine, because like
Yeah,
I
yeah, no,
have
yeah, you're
watched Drew
right.
Barrymore
But
and she seems like okay. I don't know as much about her, but like still I think she's doing great for like how far, and like she's come a long way, but it's still like I mean just think about the repercussions of that, you know. And now I mean her reputation is she's crazy, which is really sad because
that's
she's
true.
like she's
But
done so many great things like for the music industry, but everyone, when you think of Britney Spears, I think of shaved head. Like that's what I
yeah,
think
so
of.
do I. But that being said, now that we know that she's like that, like she's still like a little like off, like you look in her eyes, no one's there. Like that could also be her like milking it. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe,
Like it's that
maybe.
she has this reputation now, and like now she's just playing along with it just for her own like not like well-being but like for her own reputation. Like it's like when you try to look ugly in a picture on purpose so that you don't look bad like by accident. Like you know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean
can
by
see that. I
that?
can see that.
So
I always think about like, oh, go ahead.
I would love to sit down and have a conversation with her. Like honestly, I would ask her
Same.
so much.
I'd be kind of scared though, not
No,
gonna
I'd
lie.
be a little scared, but I'd be excited about it. Like I would love
Um,
to interview her.
so like I always think about like the families. I mean, her sister Jamie Lynn obviously had teen
Oh my
pregnancy,
gosh, I
but she's
totally
like
forgot
so much
about
more
Jamie Lynn.
normal. Like I
Yeah.
follow her on Instagram, and she's like fine. And she recently like released a documentary. Actually, I actually wanted to watch it, but I never did. Um, but like especially at that time, Jamie Lynn was like on Nickelodeon, Zoe 101. Like, can you imagine being her sister, watching your sister go through all this while you're also in the spotlight, and then you like get pregnant as at 16, and everyone's like blaming you for the cancellation of Zoe 101, which by the
I
way,
was I
that
literally was
it
just about
wasn't
to say,
canceled. It wasn't canceled for that reason. Like it was already like being ended, but then she happened to get pregnant around the same time, and everyone blamed her. And I'm like,
yeah,
poor Zoe, poor Jamie Lynn. Like she,
no,
like
I
she
was
just made a
literally
mistake.
just
It's
about to say how I was talking to my friends about how we're making this episode, and they were like, "Oh my god, are you going to talk about like Jamie Lynn Spears? Like you know, like f her, like she made Zoe 101 go cancel."
no, she
Yeah,
didn't.
no,
No.
but yeah, I didn't even. But like, as far as like it's crazy that like she was also really famous, but I never feel like I link the two together like as
No,
sisters.
I don't. I
Like
don't.
I never think of it at the
I
same.
also like will see her like post like, "Oh, love my sister," and like I don't think Brittany ever responds on Instagram,
Oh my god. Maybe
which is
there's like
like
maybe there's like a deep rooted like jealousy that
I
like
don't know.
she had this controversy too, but like no one paints her as like the girl who shaved her head or the girl who got pregnant. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe
It's
I
like,
don't
oh, she
know.
was just Zoe 101.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I I don't know. I I don't know. So kind of going off of that, because this was around the same time, and everyone also, when they think of this person, they think like crazy.
Mhm.
But also like this person, their family was very involved with their whole controversy. So Lindsay Lohan.
Oh, yes, queen.
Okay, so she has been to rehab 5 times.
Yeah.
And she was supposed to spend like some time in jail, but she like only spent a short amount of time, I think.
Rich people
so I'm
don't spend a lot of time in jail. We know this.
That's true. So she was obviously like great actress. Like I loved her. She was in so many great things. And so then but then like 2007, around the same time, like at that time, I remember just everyone making jokes about Britney and Lindsay. And she was just like going on a downward spiral as well, and like getting DUIs. I'm like on a timeline, but I'm also trying to like read it. Okay, so July 24th, 2007, just 2 weeks after checking out rehab, she is arrested again. A woman called the police saying Lohan was trying to run her down with a car.
Oh my God.
She's charged with drunken driving, cocaine possession, and driving with a suspended license. And so she just like keeps going back to rehab and all this stuff, getting like arrested.
Yeah, she had the ankle bracelet for a while, didn't she? I remember seeing that on like the cover of People, I feel like.
I don't know, but like I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
In 2010, she was like, someone like ordered a drinking ban on her with random weekly drug testing. Oh yeah, with a bracelet to detect alcohol. So just like, I mean, this goes on for years, and I think like I don't know the whole story exactly. I wasn't as in. I loved Linda. I used to have like a big celebrity crush on her, but she. Oh my goodness, this goes to like 2012.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I remember she like did something with Oprah and like no one watched it. I watched like the first episode and like no one cared. But like I know there's a lot of I watched Family Therapy, and Dina Lohan and Michael Lohan, her parents were on it. And, like they're divorced, and there was a ton of drama with her, and like basically
her mom is nuts too, isn't she?
Yeah. And like that's why I was like talking about, I wonder how like the family feels, and like you think and like I think her dad caused a lot of problems, and like there's just a lot of like rocky things. Like no one really knows the full story, I don't think, about like why this all happened, but like her parents are definitely somehow connected. I mean, she always like posts about how much she loves her mom on Instagram, and she actually just came out with a TV reality show on MTV called like Lindsay Lohan Beach Club or something. I don't know. So like she's doing fine now.
Yeah.
And she actually looks a lot better. Like there was a little period.
Yeah, she does look a lot better.
Looked, like really bad, and now she looks a lot better. But like she was another one where it just went on for years, just back and forth. I mean, rehab 5 times. That's crazy.
Crazy.
And
I just wonder where that all came from, because like if you think about Lindsay Lohan and you think of like everything she was in, I mean like Parent Trap, like she was so young in that movie. She was like fantastic in that film. Mean Girls, Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. What was the one with Tyra, the doll movie? Life Size. Such a good movie.
They just made the second one.
But she was such a clean cut, like sweet girl. Like you would never have thought that like that the kind of thing was happening. And like, I mean, I guess you could say the same with Britney, but like Britney, like I feel like was more like not like bigger than Lindsay, but like she like I said, like the paparazzi she was always like being followed around by the paparazzi. Like that like probably just caused a lot of problems. But like when you think of Lindsay Lohan, like what exactly like triggered her her collapse, I guess. Like I have thought about this like a lot, and like I can't really like pin it on really anything. I guess just like being like a young star, you fall in. It's just so easy.
I feel like maybe like seriously, I think there's so much like that we don't know.
Yeah,
probably involving her parents. I'm sure because like there's like I remember watching. I watched all of Family Therapy, and like those like that like her mom and dad had so many problems, and like they would sort of talk about some things, but not really, and they didn't talk about Lindsay that much. But like there's so many problems, and so like it had to stem from that. Yeah. And I mean, she did start like I think she probably started younger than Britney, maybe not. I'm not sure. But just like so many mess up things. It was just really sad. Like she was so great. I mean, once again, she's come back. She's all good. I think pretty much everyone that like that I can think of is like fine now, which is good. But like
Amanda Bynes though.
Oh no, she's my next one.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, I'll save it. Because
Okay.
like, is she okay? We'll
Oh,
find out.
she's great. She's
Oh,
great.
really? Oh my gosh, I
Yes.
had no idea.
Yes.
Okay, well, before we get to Amanda Bynes, I want to talk about Miley Cyrus because we have to talk about Miley Cyrus.
Okay.
So I mean, everyone knows who Miley is, and like, I mean, like you said, like she's fine now. Like honestly, I think she's probably doing like the best out of everyone. I would argue. But you know, she was Hannah Montana. And then like she was Hannah Montana like forever. I feel like she never like is gonna escape that kind of association.
Which I think
But
she's learned to accept that. Before she
Yeah.
just couldn't. That's why she like went off the deep end.
yeah, totally. But you know, she in 2008 there was like the first like scandal, I guess you could call it. Like I feel like nowadays like this wouldn't even be like
Oh
that big a
yes,
deal.
which
Of her
the
with the
video of her like
posting in the underwear.
oh
Yeah,
no,
there
I
was
don't
like
remember
like
that. I thought you were
photos
talking about the
leaked.
bong video.
Oh no, not that. But there was like that was her first actual like scandal, like quote scandal, is of her like posing in underwear when she was like 15 that like leaked. And I feel like nowadays like that wouldn't even be like a
Yeah,
like
no, I want to talk about that too. This okay, you know what? This is gonna be a long episode. It's
that's
fine.
okay. We have a lot to talk about. But yeah, so that was like her first thing. And then it's not on this article that I was that I'm reading and that I like read before we talked about it, but I think it was at the VMAs, but it was right before she started going like on like the Wild Child kind of like thing. But her dad, Billy Ray, he was like, you know, like I can't control her, like, you know, her own person. And then like she sang Can't Be Tamed at like the VMAs or something. And she like pole danced in it, and like that was like a big deal, like for all of like the younger kids being like, oh my god, like Miley is this she's pole dancing at blah blah blah. And so that was when I feel like she started to like go kind of crazy.
Yeah,
And
I didn't know all that. I didn't know
yeah,
about the picture or that. That's wow. How old was she?
I want to say she would be like what, like 16 or 17. So she was older. But like that was like a big
But
thing.
still,
She was like this cookie cutter Disney star, and like she just like was
well,
you know.
also like yeah.
And
I mean
then
that's like underage.
yeah, and then what you were just saying in 2010
Yes, 2010. That's what it was.
the video of her holding the bong was leaked. And like then everyone was
She
like,
was
"Oh
Hannah
my
Montana through all of those though.
yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
it's and so like it's like so now it's like oh Miley smokes weed blah blah. So then that's a whole thing that picked up, and so now she's like kind of painted in this light of like this rebel, like this wild child like girl, and then
See, sorry, I keep interrupting, but
no
like
no
I'm
go
like I
ahead.
have so much to say. She like to me that doesn't because I didn't hear about any of this until like I was I mean I didn't even hear about those first two things until literally just now when you told me. I heard about the bong years and years
Yeah.
later, and like that to me like that's so crazy because she was Hannah Montana during that time. Like you would
Yeah.
think like Disney would have cut her off.
Oh yeah,
But like
totally.
I mean obviously it was so successful like they probably were like no we can't do that, we can't lose all that money. But
Yeah.
like that's so crazy because I literally didn't hear about any of that, and like I feel like most parents would have been like you can't watch this anymore.
Mhm.
But like
Yeah,
they
and
obviously it
that
was
was the
still
big
successful
thing.
and people were still watching it. Like that's crazy to me. I did not know all this.
Yeah, that was
Wow.
the big thing. But then 2 years later, she cuts all her hair off and gets like the blonde pixie cut that everyone was like, "Oh my god, she looks like Draco Malfoy." Like I remember Shane Dawson talked about this in a video and they made fun of it. And then like that next year is the moment when she twerks on Robin Thicke during Blurred Lines and does horrible things to a foam finger, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But
It's like a lot of raunchy
yeah,
raunchy
very
stuff,
very
and everyone's just
raunchy.
like
Like it was
like
yeah.
whatever you think of that, like it's uncomfortable because like you see this person as a kid still. Like I'm sorry, like that stinks that she's like connected to her childhood like as this Hannah Montana, but like I'm sorry, that's how it is in this industry. And like your dad let you enter it knowing that. Also, she was like 12 when she entered. I remember like rewatching Hannah Montana, and I was like, wow, she's so tiny. Like I didn't realize how young she was.
And that's a whole other thing, is that like I think that's why people were so fascinated by Child Stars Gone Wrong, is that you watch these people grow up with you, especially in today's world. I feel like when I was a little kid, like I saw Miley Cyrus as like, oh, this like cool like older kid, but she was
I
like
thought she
still
was
a
so much
kid, and it's
older,
like
and now I
you
watch it, I'm
watch
like,
them.
oh, she's so tiny.
Yeah, and you watch them basically grow up with you, and they turn into this person that's just so wild and like, so
It's just like you're
yeah.
trying way too hard. Like I think that was kind of everyone's problem, because okay, her spiral down was definitely not nearly as bad as anyone else we've talked about. Like,
Oh yeah,
she
no.
was involved in drugs, but not to the point where she was like legitimately insane, like getting arrested, all this stuff. Like, she was, like, yeah, she had gone crazy, but not to the point where it was like she needs genuine help.
Yeah,
But
totally.
like people still like match her with that crazy child star gone wrong, because she is so like it was just like way over the top.
Yeah, it's just weird to watch that person who was like, oh, cute Hannah Montana, blah blah blah, and now she's like twerking on Robin Thicke and doing weird stuff literally all the time. And so then she was engaged to Liam Hemsworth, and then they called off their engagement, and that really, I feel like, wrecked her a little bit.
Yes.
But it's okay now because they got back together, and now they're married, which good for Miley. So she's kind of like
she's normal now. Like, she released
totally
her album,
like,
and it like kind of went back to her roots, like Nashville and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking to someone. They said like she bought a big ranch in Nashville. I'm like, I want to go visit. But yeah, she's like normal now. I mean, so I watched this guy named Zach Sang, big inspiration for me, and he has a radio show, and she talked about like how she's like, I will forever be known as the girl who was like swung naked on a wrecking ball. And she's like, I regret that. Like, she's like, I don't have a lot of regrets. Like, yeah, I did some crazy stuff, but like that, like she's like, that's gonna be at my funeral. And I'm like, so even there, before she was like doing all this crazy stuff to get this image of Hannah away, but now even she like looks back and is like, that was too much. And so it is kind of nice to see her reflection. Like, I mean, she came out of it quick. I mean, most of these other stars, it took them years and years. And like I said, they were a lot crazier. Like, hers is more like funny crazy. And while the other ones, people did laugh at it, it's more sad. Hers is more just like, what are you doing, girl?
Yeah, totally.
It is interesting.
Yeah, so basically, good on you, Miley. You're a queen still in my heart. But yeah, so let's move on to Amanda Bynes because we're running out of time, kind of. But I do want to talk about Bella Thorne and then our predictions for the future. So let's go with Amanda Bynes because I think this is the most excited I've been for this entire episode.
So Amanda Bynes, everyone loved her. She was so great. Amanda show, that show literally still makes me laugh.
And yes, it's so funny. It is so funny.
And she was like such a young kid. Like, Dan Schneider saw a bunch of potential in her. And she like did so much, and she was a huge actress. Everyone knew her. Like, she was just like, she was in so many things, and everyone loved her. But then, so she's like 25, and I remember watching an interview, and she's like, oh yeah, like, she's like, I don't know why all these child stars like go crazy. Like, I just have never had the desire to like do anything crazy like that or anything. And then like a few years later is when she like had her downward spiral.
Yeah,
and this all
wood.
happened. Yeah, seriously. And this all happened like, Brittany and Lindsay happened more when we were like kids. Amanda happened like, I remember hearing about it more in like middle school and high school. So hers was like a lot later because she was more in the limelight, I think, before Lindsay or around the same time. And so, it's just
she was so quiet for a while, I feel like, too. Like, we didn't really hear a lot about her after, like, She's the Man and stuff.
So basically, she, like, gets these cheek piercings. She dyes her hair. She literally is insane. I mean, this girl literally straight up, like, I'm trying not to laugh. Because, like, hers, I think, is honestly this one, maybe not the saddest, but hers is, like, the most crazy. Like, she lit some random old lady's house, like, garage on fire.
Oh my gosh.
And she had her dog with her, and the dog caught on fire. I think the dog's fine.
Oh, okay. Well,
but like,
what?
Like,
I didn't even know that. I just thought she like got the cheek piercings and was like, bleh, and like that was it.
No, and she like
Like,
I remember like her tweets, like just crazy stuff she would tweet, and she would constantly tweet about her dad like sexually abusing her, which is really
oh my
really crazy
gosh.
and sad. And it's like I don't know, obviously no one knows if that's true. Um, and she like talks about how she's like she wants to go fashion school, like she quit acting. She said she retired from acting and she went to this fashion school, but she was like going crazy, tweeting all this crazy stuff,
Yeah,
and
didn't
she's
she
like,
get she got a DUI and she like tweeted at Barack Obama and she was like, I've never drank before, like I wouldn't drive anyway, like bail me
I
out.
don't know. And she like went to court and she like had this crazy blonde wig on that looked terrible, like you would buy from a
Like,
Halloween store, and it like got stuffed in your closet and then you brought it back out. Like she just went off the deep end and was like she was tweeting like I have never done drugs before, and everyone's like
okay.
okay.
Okay, Amanda.
And but like like I think I don't know if this was like confirmed or not, but like basically doctors saying like she suffers from like schizophrenia or something,
Oh my
because I
god.
mean she like went full on crazy, like I mean literally lighting some random lady's garage on fire that you don't know, like some random old lady, and then letting your dog get caught on fire as well, like that is insane. And so like no one really knows, like I mean it drugs was definitely a part of it, but like it's like does she have schizophrenia, I don't know. But
Yeah.
so last year, yeah, it's been almost 2 years. It's sometime in July. I was on YouTube and I see Amanda Bynes does first interview in 4 years, and I like threw everything. I was like, "What?" I was like, "What is going on?" Because I had heard she was getting better. Like she was like posting normal pictures and like saying normal things on her Twitter, and she like wasn't going insane. And I honestly feel bad because like I remember like I used to make so many jokes about her. Like I found it so funny, and I'm like looking back, I'm like that's awful that I did that because like this girl was literally like suffering from something. And like I mean once again it's the same thing with Britney where it's like I mean she went so off the deep end, like in a way there's something like comedic about it, but
Yeah,
at the
I
same time
mean,
it's so sad.
yeah, I feel like imagine if like we knew someone who did this, like obviously it would be like, oh my god, like that's horrible. But like when it's a celebrity and like you don't know that person, and
Yeah,
like in your
exactly.
head they're just like this, like like just this thing that like you know everything about, and like it's
Yeah,
so easy to forget that like they're actual people.
yeah, for
But I
sure.
mean, no, but I mean, it's wild. Like it's hard
Yes,
not
it
to
is.
laugh
Yeah.
at some of this stuff.
And but then she's like started posting normal stuff. I was like, oh, maybe she's getting better. And then I see like on YouTube where she's like, where she's talking about like or where she has her first interview, and I freaked out. I was like, oh wow, like I need to watch this immediately. Literally one of the worst interviews I've ever watched in my life.
Oh my god.
This it was some random website that no one had ever heard of. This girl who interviewed her was terrible. She was asking the stupidest questions. She was asking like they played a game called like Hot or Not where they just like based like they just looked at celebrity guys. I'm like, no one cares about this. I'm like, she hasn't done an interview in 4 years. Why in the
Yeah,
world
we want to
would
know
I
the tea.
care?
We don't want to care. We don't care who she thinks is hot or not.
Exactly. And like maybe you think like, oh well, maybe she's like not comfortable talking about that or anything. But then okay, so they talked about, I'm not gonna repeat it, but like this very vulgar tweet she sent toward Drake, and the lady's like, so why'd you tweet that? And she's like, well, at the time I was on a lot of drugs, but I just wanted to tweet it.
Oh
And
my god.
instead of being like, oh, like instead of like trying to, get her to
Clear it
talk
up.
about the drugs or like talk about like why she had went on a spiral, she's like, oh, cool. All right, so let's play hot or not. And
Oh my gosh,
I'm
that
like,
sucks. That's such a missed
you just had
opportunity.
yes, I'm like, you had the opportunity to interview Amanda Bynes 4 years. And she hasn't done an interview in 4 years. After her like downward spiral, no one knows like what happened to her because she didn't tweet very often after she like went crazy. Like you just saw a few tweets here and there, and she seemed to be doing well, but no one really knew for sure.
Hmm.
And she looked okay. She was like, you could tell like she had been through some stuff in the interview, but like she
Yeah.
looked okay enough. And she goes, um, and so like it was whatever. Then recently, like last month, I remember being in I don't know, it was during winter break. And I saw she like someone shared on Facebook like she did an interview with people, and it was like an actual thorough interview. I haven't read it yet. I really need to. I should have before this show. I didn't even think about it. I literally remember seeing it. She looks so good. You need to look up the pictures. She
Aww,
looks so good.
that's
Like
good.
it's amazing. And I literally saw the magazine in an airport, and I was like, I literally almost went and bought it. I kind of wish I did now, because I was
Oh
like,
well,
I remember her from my childhood. Like I loved her so much. Like I was a huge fan of her, and then like I was I did like make jokes about when as a kid, but
well,
like
who
now
didn't? Like,
I see it more as like yeah, and now I see it more as like oh that's actually really sad, and like I'm really happy that she's like doing well now.
yeah, well, that's the one good thing about I mean, talking about all this is that most of them have come out and they're all right now, so that's
Yeah,
good. But
yeah,
yeah, so just moving on, I want to talk about Bella Thorne briefly. I don't like Bella Thorne. I think she's not a good person, and I think she's like going crazy for the sake of being crazy.
I think so too. Yeah,
No,
I
like
can
I
see
don't
that.
think she's actually nuts. I think she's just doing it for like clout, basically.
Yeah,
Because this is a Daily Mail article, and basically what she says in it, I'm gonna sum it up, is that like she's embracing crazy behavior to basically like rebel against like cookie cutter Disney, and like
hmm
and I'm like sis, like all the Disney stars went crazy anyway. Like you're not, this isn't new.
yeah.
Like
You're
it's
not
not like
special,
wild for like a Disney star to go crazy, and like that's why
and
I
it's not
think
like she's done
that
anything crazy like the
yeah, and
others we've
like
talked about.
see, she's crazy in a way that like she just does like things that like keep her in the spotlight, if that makes sense. Like she's like
Yeah.
on her Snapchat like all the time. Like she like she live streamed her bikini wax once.
Ew.
Like first of all, ew, like why? And like second of all, like that's not even like crazy at that point. It's like she's like just aware that like she needs to do crazy stuff to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And like she's always tweeting weird stuff. Like she tweeted this. She said, "Your stool says so much about you," and then like a bunch of emojis like crying. And I'm like, "Why are you? Your poop? Like she's talking about like your poop says a lot about you. Like, girl, what?
Oh.
That doesn't even make sense." And she said the N word a few times, and I'm just like, "What?" Like she's literally
No.
just doing all of it to like be crazy. And it's like so weird. Like when you think of Shake It Up, like you think of her and like Zendaya, and like Zendaya is like
Oh
the
yeah,
best.
she's
I
killing it.
love her. She's seriously killing it. I
Well,
wish
I
she would do
remember.
more.
I
Because
mean,
she's really what? No, go on.
I remember Bella like talking about like she had to be on Disney to support her family or something
Yeah.
like her, and so I'm like, okay, I do sympathize with her with that. Like she didn't really want, at least from her side of the story, it seems like she didn't really want to be this cookie cutter Disney girl, but she had to be in order to make money.
Yeah, but
But at the
now
same
it's like
time, that doesn't mean you have to like go in like try like you're just trying too hard and people can see right through it, especially nowadays with social media. Like back then,
yeah,
I don't know.
no,
It was a
that's the
different
thing.
time.
Is
It's like
that she said
everyone's seen everything under the sun now. Like no one
yeah,
cares.
exactly. But like now it's like she says that she didn't want to go into like Disney and like didn't want to be like an actress, but it's like then why are you still constantly doing things that put you in the news?
Yes.
Like it doesn't make sense.
Also,
Like she went on
she's
Jimmy Kimmel and took a bite out of an onion like an apple. Like who does
ew,
that?
ew. My roommate did that. I paid him money to do that. It was funny. But she no, and also she's like doesn't want to be an actress. Like literally, she has things coming out. She did some stupid movie called like Midnight Sun that looked like it was made for like 12-year-olds. Like it looked really dumb. Like she was allergic to the sun or something. And she had her old red hair. I'm like, did she make this back in the day and they just released it? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to
No,
me because
yeah,
I'm like,
I
she wants to stay away from those like cookie cutter roles, but like this is a
that's
cookie
exactly
cutter
what she's doing.
role, like more, even more so than Shake It Up.
Yeah,
So
I
I don't
think
know. It's very strange. It's just like, okay, we get it. No one really cares.
yeah, she's very problematic in my eyes. I don't like
Yeah.
her as a person. But yeah, she like apparently dated Tana Mojo for like a hot second, but like
I thought
no one
they were
really
fake.
knows if that's real.
Okay.
But
Well,
yeah, so like that was a odd point in her history too, is that she was dating like this YouTube star, which is
also Tana like has a lot of problems with her
oh
too.
yeah, no, Tana
So
is like I mean honestly I love watching her videos because they're so entertaining, but like she's like weird too. But yeah, so that's my thing on Bella Thorne, but that's it. Because I
okay.
yeah.
Real quick before we enter into the future.
Predictions.
Um, yes. I want to talk about like some honorable mentions of the good. Hilary Duff, she never went crazy.
Yes.
She just made music and she has children and I love her. She does so many
I
great
love her
things.
so much.
Uh, um, And then Bridget Mendler. Okay, this girl like went and got her degree as she played Teddy in Good Luck Charlie. She
Aw.
like makes music now. It's pretty good music. She talks like she's like I just like going to like the coffee house in the morning and just like reading, but she doesn't do it in the like hipster way, like where she's like, oh yeah, me in the coffee house. She just like she's like she doesn't post about it or anything. I just listened to a podcast with her, and she it's just like she's so like intellectual, and she like went and got her degree and all this stuff. Most Nickelodeon stars, I'm like, Nickelodeon knew what they were doing. Like Disney was doing something messed up. Like Miranda Cosgrove, she's doing fine. She's living with her dog. She's all good. She was in a Marshmallow video. Nathan Kress, he's married. He has a little baby. So cute.
Ariana Grande.
Yes, Ariana Grande is like on top of the world right now.
Yeah,
Josh Peck like also had another baby. Jeanette McCurdy, she just made a short film. She's like starting a YouTube. She's actually really funny. You should follow her.
Yeah, I love Jeanette McCurdy. She's one of my favorites. She had
like,
a music career for a hot second. It was bad.
Country music. Oh wow, there's an episode of her on Cupcake Wars. It's so funny. She like you can tell like it's just weird because they're doing it for her like country album, and I'm like, whatever happened to that? And most of the newer Disney stars, I think Disney finally learned their lesson because like I don't hear that much about newer Disney stars, like in terms of like ones who have gotten older at this point.
Except Jake Paul, he got kicked off.
Okay, well that was different. Like that happened. I don't know. That's a whole different story. But the rest
Another
of them are
episode.
And like the Sprouse twins, like they were doing all good. Selena Gomez, obviously she's dealing with like health issues, but that's not because she's crazy. Like she's such a sweet, genuine person. I'm not as big on her music, but like I've watched interviews with her and she just seems like the nicest person. Like I'm like, I just want to be her friend. She's so sweet. And then final one, this is a really rare one. I put this on my Instagram story a few weeks ago. I was like, I hope Kate from Lizzie McGuire is doing well because she like after Lizzie McGuire, she played the mean girl in Lizzie McGuire, and after that she's quit acting. She went to like law school. She got her degree.
Whoa.
She like
I forgot about her.
I know, and so like even though it's kind of sad because I'm like I wish I could have seen her in more stuff. Like I'm like good for her. Like she decided to go out and do what she wanted instead of being in the spotlight. She went and got a law degree.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that's so cool.
Yeah.
So those
no,
are the
honestly,
good for you guys for not going insane.
Yeah, seriously, good job because it's hard nowadays to be a child star and not go crazy. I feel like you could kind of lump in an honorable mention Leonardo DiCaprio because he was pretty young when he started acting. He turned out.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still very successful and love him honestly.
True.
But to wrap up, let's talk about some future predictions real quick. JoJo Siwa. She's going to go nuts. She's going to have the child star breakdown that puts all others to shame. I can't wait to watch it. I hope she'll be okay.
Oh, that's so sad.
But like, I retweeted something the other day that said that exact thing. It was like JoJo Siwa is about to have the child star breakdown
of
the century. And it's so true. Yeah. Because, I mean, girl, she's 15 and she's like she's 5'10". Like she's like and she looks like an adult, but like in kids' clothing.
Well, yeah, I mean, she literally dressed like a toddler, and the girl has a car with her own face on it. Oh, but I mean, she's always been wacky. Like I remember her on Dance Moms, and she was always. I mean, I loved her on Dance Moms. She was like so wacky and fun, and like she kind of like has now created this brand for herself where she kind of has to keep it up, and it's like, how long is she gonna keep it up? But, like, I think she has a good family life. It seems like it, at least. So I'm like, maybe that'll hold her down, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean,
but it will be weird to see her when she finally, like, kind of, like, lets go of the bow, lets go of all this, like, kiddie stuff.
Fixes her hairline.
Very weird. Fix her hairline.
She has a net worth of $8 billion. So I'm interested to see what she does in the future.
It's also so weird that of all the Dance Moms, like, she's probably the most famous. People say Maddie is, and Maddie does have more Instagram followers, but I'm like, who do you hear about more, JoJo or Maddie? Maddie was in some like failed movie. No offense, Maddie. And yeah, she does Sia videos, but like other than that, like JoJo's the one who like has her merch plastered all over Walmart.
Yeah, she has a whole brand. Like,
every kid knows about her. She's on Nickelodeon. Like everyone talks about her. She was literally just on Jimmy Fallon. I watched that video of her like doing the aggressive dancing. It was very uncomfortable.
Jimmy was not having it. Did you see his face in that video?
I don't know. I mean,
oh my gosh, he was just like, what is going on?
But, you know, I hope, even though, yes, like, it's funny to look back at these crazy child stars, I honestly hope she doesn't. Like, it will be crazy, like, if she does. Like, it will be messed up because she is so, like, I mean, she's not.
Why?
It's not just her being a kid. It's like she is a teenager right now, and she's acting like a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And not that like that's necessarily bad. Like, you know, if you're like, I mean, she could be doing way worse stuff.
Oh,
So, like, I'm
totally.
fine with her doing that. Like, I don't know. I don't think people should judge her for doing that, especially if she does actually like it. I mean, she's always been wacky like that, so I'm like, maybe
Yeah.
there is a part of her that genuinely likes it.
Yeah.
But if there isn't, and she does go crazy, like, it will be bad.
Yeah. Another person, I feel like this is like an unpopular opinion, but I think Millie Bobby Brown is gonna go through some stuff.
Maybe.
And like, let me
I don't know.
tell you why. Because there's like a lot of talk about this, like in recent years, about like how they dress like these children like to go on red carpets. And like you look back at like Ashley Tisdale or like Miley Cyrus back when they were like, because Millie Bobby Brown is like 13, right? 12 or 13? I think she's 13.
I think she's 14 now.
Yeah, she's probably 14 now. But like they dress this girl like she's like this huge, like, I don't know, it's just very different than what you see. Like you would see like Ashley Tisdale like on a red carpet wearing like jeans and like an Aeropostale shirt and like but like nowadays it's like they're wearing these like skin clad dresses, like these high heels, like painted, like their makeup is all done.
Yeah.
And it's
almost
there was
like controversy a few years ago about like people like sexualizing her.
That's what I mean, is that people like sexualizing these young children, like just because I don't know, and I think that's gonna have an effect on like at least like the current child stars now, because like I mean how you are perceived by other people is like
whether
like,
you like it or whether you try to or not, like it will affect you.
Yeah, no, totally. And like she's like Drake and her like text, and like that's like weird because he's weird, like third, like how
he also is like dating an 18-year-old or like
so
it's already like okay,
it's all sketchy. But I feel like Millie Bobby Brown won't necessarily have like a breakdown, but like I feel like she's gonna go through like not like a wild phase, but like something's gonna happen, and
there's gonna be something
there has to be like
Jacob Sartorius, like poor, I mean, okay,
he is ripped, he is big now, like he has
how
like
old
big
is he now?
I don't know, he's probably like
I don't know, but like everyone made fun of him.
Isn't
like,
he
also
like
would
is he
tweet
ripped
really
now?
weird things.
I feel like I just saw a picture of him.
I don't know. Poor kid gets made fun of all the time. Like, stop making fun of these children. I mean, it's so easy to, like you said, like you forget that they're actual human beings, but it's like these are literally just children. And like
it wasn't Jacob Sartorius, it was Maddie B. Raps.
Oh yeah, Maddie B.
Yeah, he's ripped now.
No,
Jacob Sartorius is still like a little boy.
Yeah, I was about to say, like I didn't think so. But I'm like, these are just kids. Like you can't. Like I'm like, you're the ones who are going to drive them to be crazy child stars.
Yeah, it's like there's such like a.
It's so easy though, and so I'm like sometimes can be a hypocrite. I mean, I don't like posting things publicly, being like, haha, but like I will like joke about it with like my friends. It's probably like not good.
No, I just feel like there's so much pressure now to be mature at such a young age, and that's gonna like push kids to being in their
my thing. Okay, so another thing, like real quick, you were talking about the red carpet thing. So I mean, child star has changed so much now. Before it was just like Disney, Nickelodeon, a few actors here and there, but now with Instagram and YouTube, like there are so many different child stars. And so you think about like, I mean, Danielle Bregoli and JoJo Siwa are the same age. While meanwhile, Danielle Bregoli's like beating up her mom on Dr. Phil.
Oh my god!
Is like rapping about like really inappropriate stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, just she's like fighting with Iggy, which that was so stupid because she's like Cardi and Nicki are doing too much, and I'm like, you literally threw a drink at Iggy who like didn't even pay any attention to you.
Oh my god!
Leave it alone. Like stop trying so hard.
I guess. Wait, no, sorry, go on.
I think about like Instagram, like YouTubers. So have you ever heard of Malu? I don't know.
No.
This girl is like 15, and she like is like half naked on her Instagram all the time, just like dancing around. Same with Danielle Kahn. She's like half naked. She's like 13, and people like there's two sides of it. People being like, "This is too much. Like you need to stop. Like this is not okay," and then other people being like, "Stop sexualizing her."
But there's a difference between sexualizing a kid and wanting them to be safe from like creeps on the internet. Like there's a point where you have to
be like, well, those like they're like, well, pedophiles should learn not to like do that. And I'm like, no, I'm like, they're always going to be there. I'm sorry, I wish they weren't. Yeah. But like, it's something you have to think about.
You have to be aware of the people out there.
Like allowing your child to dress like that and like putting it out on the internet for millions of people to see
Yeah.
is not okay. It's literally child pornography. Like, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it is. And it's so like, and like, it's not people sexualizing them being like, ooh, they're so hot. It's people saying, put on some clothes because like you are a child and you don't need to be like that
Yeah,
advanced in
exactly.
years.
Like it's really about like awareness of like who is on the internet,
Yes.
who will
It's
sexualize a
not
child.
telling your
Like it's
child,
not
it's not telling you how to parent your child.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Um,
so, like I said, there's just like I feel like there's like a huge push for like these young kids to be like so mature for their age, and I'm
yes.
like, let the
And it's
kids be
not
kids.
necessary.
Let the
Yes, for
kids be
sure.
kids.
And like I think part of it is with social media, like kids are growing up, like I'll see like memes and like little and like I don't know, like 8-year-olds will be on there being like LOL, like I'm only 8, and I'm like, you
And I'm
should
like,
not
how
be on here.
are yeah, like I didn't even start like going on like I think I got social media for the first time in like 6th grade, maybe the end of
Yeah.
6th grade, and like that was just Instagram back then when that was a new thing. It wasn't even
Yeah.
like a
It's just like so like kids are growing up way too fast and like other people and then they like get mad and people are like like just let them do whatever they want. I'm like, no, kids are meant to be disciplined. They don't know better. The
yeah,
whole point
exactly.
is not to let them do whatever they want. Otherwise,
Yeah,
there would be
like
chaos, and that is exactly what's happening. You guys are letting it happen, and it's not okay.
yeah, totally. Yeah.
Anyway, rant over. This has been a very dark episode, so I want to end on a lighter note. Actually,
Yeah.
I don't really know if it's a lighter note, but I just want to talk about a couple memes. This has been our longest episode, but it's fine. I think it's been
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So Rainy Rodriguez, have you heard of this meme?
Wait, I
Rainy Rodriguez played Trish, in Austin Alley. She was the like Mexican girl. She was sassy.
oh, yeah.
So like there was a meme that started where she like was having this beef with Beyonce and she was like topping all the charts with her song Fiesta Salsa. And she did not appreciate the meme. That was like, okay, Skinny Legend like started with Mariah, but people started calling Rainy Skinny Legend, which was kind of mean because she's like a bigger girl. But like it was actually pretty funny. But like poor girl did not take it well. And so I was like, okay, but people would be like, we're a raindrop. And they'd be talking about like the beehives against the raindrops. And
Oh
like
my
people were making fake
gosh.
tweets and fake pictures of like and like after Pete and Ariana broke up, people
Oh
were saying that
gosh.
they broke up because Rainey like stole Pete from Ariana and like people photoshopped pictures of her and like talking about how she like has the most streams and like people made videos of her like performing at the Grammys and then it shows a like video of a Beyonce crying at some award show.
No.
It's so funny. You need to look it up.
The
And the
beehive
second one, so that
so
one
deep
is
drop.
like a year old or something. The newest one is with Sky Jackson, who
Oh
played
my gosh.
Zurich
Yes.
from
This is
Jessie. I need to send you some. She, so there's like someone started a hashtag rip Sky Jackson, like she
but she
died.
didn't die. That's the
She's
thing.
literally fine. And she even tweeted out, she's like, if all you have is time to talk about someone who's dead who isn't even dead, then you need help.
Yeah.
And then like people were someone photoshopped it, and you know how at the bottom of a tweet it says Twitter for iPhone? Someone
Yeah.
photoshopped it and said Twitter for Ouija board.
Oh my god.
And then someone like quoted the tweet and was like, her management needs to let it go, like they just need to accept it and move on, or like, and then someone quoted it and was like, it's like I can still hear her.
Yeah,
And
no,
then
but
like people are,
Skyjack is okay. So
oh yeah,
don't.
she's fine,
She's
and
literally fine.
I think she's taking it well enough. I mean, she's
Yeah,
like
I feel like she
kind
could
of
joke.
crazy,
She can
honestly.
take a joke.
Yeah, she like tweets some like kind of crazy stuff sometimes. I'm like, okay, but she then someone like said that, okay, there's been rumors that Debbie Ryan and Sky Jackson didn't get along on set of Jessie, which is kind of weird because Debbie Ryan's like 10 years older than her. Okay, anyway, and so someone like photoshopped a tweet that Debbie Ryan started the hashtag, and she was like,
Oh my
she was
god.
like, even though we fought a lot, like I forgive you, my black queen, hashtag rip Sky Jackson. And then it shows that Debbie Ryan tweeted photos of China Ann McClain from Ant Farm.
Oh my gosh.
Like
What
photoshopped
a
a picture
mess.
of China. It was like, rip Sky Jackson, you will be missed, black queen or something. And it was
Twitter
literally just a picture of China. And I'm like, what is happening?
Twitter is literally such a like a garbage pile that has just been lit on fire. Like, it is a cesspool of the weirdest, wildest stuff. And
Right?
like,
Yes.
it's like, I hate going on Twitter because I feel gross after. You know what I mean?
So many people were like, she's gonna have a tribute at the Grammys and the Oscars,
Oh
and
my
then
God.
someone posted. This was the funniest one to me. This is the last one. Okay, you know how like Scarlett Johansson has been in a lot of like deep water lately for like doing roles that
Yeah,
are
like whitewashing and stuff.
yeah, exactly. And someone tweeted, Scarlett Johansson will play Sky Jackson in the new biopic about her.
No. Oh my, could you imagine? Like, what if like someone saw that and actually thought it was real? Like, that could have started a whole other thing. Oh my
It's so
gosh.
funny. And I'm glad she's taking it well, a lot better than Rainy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which makes sense
seriously.
in a certain sense because obviously she's not dead, but it's just so in the fact that people are like putting pictures of China
China
and
and McLean.
someone took a picture of Zendaya and they like crossed out Bella Thorne's face.
Oh my God. Yeah. I hate Bella Thorne. I wish I could get into like a Twitter beef with her. I would put her in her place, but whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, that's our episode then. That
Yeah.
was a little dark,
And
but this was
Interesting, dark, but also
but all the
entertaining, I
people
feel like.
all the people we talked about except for Judy Garland came out okay. So
Yes.
so it's all good. It all ends on a lighter note.
Yes.
So everyone who's listening, thank you so much. This has been Whack with Patrick and Mia.
It has been back.
Yeah, this episode has been whack. But yeah, we release a new episode every Friday at 8/7 Central. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next week.